I'm not exaggerating when I say Spider-Man Brand New Day is not a good movie. It is a great one and probably my favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man movie yet. So here are my full spoiler-free thoughts on the best and worst parts of the film. Right from the opening scene of Spider-Man Brand New Day, you can tell that the vibe is completely different than Tom Holland's previous Spider-Man trilogy. Like visually, this film looks a lot better than those movies in my opinion, but also just the entire mood just feels like this more like indie coming-of-age story almost. And this is a very emotional movie because they do not hold back at all at the dark mental state that Peter Parker is in after the ending of Spider-Man No Way Home, obviously, and the 4 years that have passed since that movie. Like, they fully give in to just what Peter's going through, and they show his struggle in a really powerful way, in my opinion. Now, I will say this entire storyline of Peter going through a lot emotionally and this affecting his powers, while great, does feel so heavily inspired by Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 2, and there's even like a 5 to 10 minute sequence that feels directly ripped from that movie, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because that is a great film, but it's just something I felt like I have seen before in a Spider-Man movie. But with all of that being said about how emotional this movie is, I also think it's one of the funniest Marvel movies we've had in recent years. Like, all of the humor feels super fresh. It's not that same style of like MCU jokes that we're all tired of by this point, and most importantly, none of the humor undercuts the more emotional moments. It just complements them perfectly and feels super natural. I think the funniest parts of the movie are every time Spider-Man and the Punisher are on screen together. Their dynamic was absolutely perfect. Multiple laugh out loud moments between these two literally every time they're on screen. One thing I was very concerned about going into this movie is the fact that they were bringing MJ and Ned back after the ending of No Way Home. I was like, I feel like they should not be in this next Spider-Man movie. Just have him completely on his own. But I have never been so happy to have been proven completely wrong because they work so perfectly in this movie. The way they bring them back is really creative without like undoing the ending of No Way Home or anything. Just having them being there in this movie and showing how Peter is really missing having them in his life was super powerful, and they both have some really good scenes on their own. This movie is also a huge visual upgrade from the last Spider-Man Tom Holland trilogy. Like, it just looks so much better than those films. I will say there were definitely a few like wonky green screen moments that kind of took me out of it in a few parts, and there's some moments that don't look great, but overall I definitely love this more stylized, darker look they were going for in this film. And the action in this movie is absolutely amazing. Destin Daniel Cretton, the director of this movie, he also did Shang-Chi. Even though I'm lower on Shang-Chi than a lot of people, I do think all the fight scenes in that movie are really well done, choreographed, and shot, and that definitely translates over to this film. The hand fight sequence of him versus these ninjas that you see in the trailer, not really a spoiler, but that entire sequence, what's happening in the story at that point, plus just the fight scene itself, absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best Spider-Man fight scenes of all time. Everything happening with Peter in this movie and his powers kind of changing, him not understanding them, lead to some really cool and surprising action moments that completely caught me off guard in this movie. I also do think this gives us one of the best Hulk sequences we've had in the MCU, both with the action itself happening in the scene and just what it means for the character of Bruce Banner. I think it is the perfect way to capture his character in the MCU, so much better than all the smart Hulk stuff we've been having in the last couple of years. I'm so tired of that version of the character. Please keep him like this going forward. Obviously, one of the biggest secrets in this movie has been Sadie Sink's character. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil who she is or what her role is in the movie, but I just want to say I think she was kind of a scene stealer in this movie. Like, every time she's on screen, she was absolutely amazing. She's giving a really good performance, and she just fit into this universe so incredibly perfectly. And Sadie Sink has some really emotional moments in this movie that are probably some of the best scenes of the entire film. Now, we got a whole lot more to talk about, but first, drop a like on this video and hit that follow button if you haven't already. Don't worry, if you want to hear my full spoiler thoughts on her character and the entire movie itself, I'm going to make a spoiler review for my YouTube members, so I really appreciate it if you join my channel membership for a few bucks a month to get all my spoiler versions of movie reviews. Now, one of the things I most appreciated about this movie is how naturally connected it feels to the greater MCU, because yes, you have tons of characters from other films. Like, you have Hulk in this, you have the Punisher, you got Scorpion coming back, and there's plenty of other surprise characters and cameos in this movie, but it all just feels so natural. Like, oh yeah, of course this character would be here at this time in New York City. Because I feel like a lot of people just watch superhero movies for a giant cameo that you're supposed to clap at in the theaters nowadays, like Tobey and Andrew coming back in No Way Home, or all the characters in Deadpool and Wolverine. And while I still do think those moments are cool, they do feel a little bit more forced than how natural every character that shows up in this movie feels. It just does a great job of being like, oh yeah, this is a lived-in universe. All these characters have their own lives that are just kind of intersecting at these random times, and it does a great job at setting up the future of the MCU without sacrificing anything major for this film. I think it still absolutely hits the nail on the head with the ending, nailing everything for Peter Parker's arc in this movie. Now, if I had to nitpick, I don't think the musical score here is one of the best in the MCU. It was kind of forgettable outside of a few moments towards the end, and there's also lots of moments that are these more emotional moments where they completely cut out the music, which can be effective, but they do it like multiple times times in this film, and honestly, it just kind of made some of the scenes feel a little bit off. They also made a huge deal in the marketing about, oh yeah, we're recreating different comic book covers in the movie itself. And yeah, that is true technically, but they literally just try to brush past it as fast as possible. It felt very forced in my opinion. It's just like, here, damn, take your comic book covers. The ending is still a massive positive for me. I think it works perfectly for the movie. There's some really emotional moments, there's some sweet moments, and just great moments for every character in the movie pretty much towards the end of the film. But my one nitpick about it is that it feels so incredibly similar to something that we had in another superhero movie in the last couple years, almost distractingly so. But outside of those nitpicks, this is really everything I've wanted out of a Tom Holland Spider-Man movie. The action and swinging scenes are so much better. It feels so much more mature emotionally, and it's this grounded street level story. I'm giving it a great 9 out of 10. If you want to see all my other movie reviews on the channel, click the playlist above my head right now, and thank you so much for watching.